March 2023, a group of researchers formed the Truth Mafia, a collective determined to investigate conspiracies and occult mysteries that have been buried for centuries. With a passion for uncovering the truth, they delve into the darkest corners of history, pop culture, and ancient mysteries, seeking answers to questions that have plagued humanity for ages. The Truth Mafia is led by Tommy Truthful, a man shrouded in mystery and intrigue, dedicated to uncovering the hidden truths behind some of the world's most perplexing and enigmatic phenomena. Their research has led them down countless rabbit holes, from deciphering ancient symbols to exploring the hidden meanings behind popular media and literature. Despite the risks and challenges they face, the Truth Mafia remains steadfast in their quest for knowledge. Will their investigations lead to groundbreaking revelations, or will they unravel an even deeper web of secrets and lies? Only time will tell in this ongoing saga of conspiracy and intrigue.
Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Truth Mafia podcast. Make sure you smash that like button, share this video before we get going. This is called fair use and allowed for purpose of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107. Now, make sure, guys, you go and opt in to our daily newsletter. That link is down below. It takes you 2 seconds. Click on the link, throw your email in there, and hit enter. That way you get a notification when we go live. Our whole team, we got a special guest today. I'm going to introduce him in a second. When he drops a new project, or Logan from Decode Reality, Donut, anybody on the team, you'll get a email. So, it's a lot easier than trusting social media. Now, if you're new to this platform, in the movie The Matrix, there are several people who wake up from the system. They learn to read the hidden code of the green letters and numbers of the Matrix. This is not just a movie. We too have a hidden code behind everything as well, and it's known as gematria. And we have a calculator on truthmafia.com. And then my guest that I'm going to introduce here in a second also has a calculator. Him and Logan just launched one, and that link is also down below in the description. Their DEKODA website, it's really awesome, guys. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie, it's a little better than mine. So, I'm a little jealous there. But Waters, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing better every day. I'm really grateful to connect. I think this is our first time ever getting together, right? I do believe we did one, like, kind of a round table between a bunch of us, but this is our first time one-on-one.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you came on my birthday, and I was on like 700 milligrams of edibles. So
yeah,
I was on another planet back then. But I remember we had a really good connection, me and you.
Yeah,
so
we were vibing.
I thought it would be cool to bring you on, and I got some clips I want to show you, get into different topics. Break down the simulation that we're in. And off air, me and you was talking a little bit about the source code tied to all this. A lot of people think like everything is controlled and there's somebody in a room just making sure all these numbers line up. And although I do believe certain people and certain power structures know how to hack the frequency and use, do certain rituals on certain ley lines under certain astrological alignments, the numbers lining up, I do believe a high 90 percentile is organic. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the debate of what's organic, right? Because you could always go deeper. And then when you start arguing about that, you never end up anywhere. So I'm not here to say I know what's organic or what isn't organic. But what it does seem to be is that a majority of what's unfolding here on this world stage is just chaos, and nobody has full control over the chaos. And if anything, it's a superpower to just allow the chaos to be what it is. And what I say is it's kind of the difference between rowing a boat or sailing a boat. You get to learn how to work with the elements and you save energy. You burn less calories, but you're more efficient. And I think that's what happens when you learn how to decode.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, brother. Yeah, because sometimes we focus on the wrong things and put our energy into the wrong things. I couldn't agree with that more. And guys, all Waters links are down below. Make sure you go subscribe to his YouTube. He has an amazing platform over there. Check out his website. His calculator's down there. All of his links. Follow him on Instagram, his X, all that. So, yeah, today And before we go, if you want to get your Gematria decode, you can get that over on truthfultv.com. That link's down below as well, guys. And this podcast is sponsored today through Body Align in the Energy Wellness Band. So shout out to them. We appreciate them. If you want to get your band, that link is down below. Use promo code Truth Mafia. Got all that out the way. And the band's pretty cool. It's got the Shugnite, the organ, the Shugnite, the Tourlamine all grounded up into the wristband, and then the hologram. There's certain frequencies binded to it, which is supposed to help you with the EMF and all that. So they're an amazing sponsor for our podcast, and we appreciate them. So today, what I wanted to show you first, brother, to really pop this thing off, because we're going to get into Saturn, the whole connection between Saturn and this reality that we're in, because there's such a strong connection there, esoterically with the symbolism, and then when it comes into the numerology, I was looking at Saturn, and that's why we went live at 5:11 Eastern Standard Time. That was me, guys. I picked that time because Saturn is 5:11, and you can see some of the words that are tied to this number, like army, climate control, nightmare fuel. I think a loose energy harvesting when I see that one. I can never say this word. I'm not even going to try it. Secret message, AI, intelligence, subliminals in there, and president death. Totalitarian. That's the word I was trying to say. There we go. So that's a big one in that 511 code. And this is in the Latin cipher, guys, also known as Jewish or Hebrew. There's many different ciphers. I'm a big fan of Chaldean myself, but when you talk about Gematria, this is really Gematria, the Latin, Jewish, Hebrew cipher. Which one's your favorite to decode with, Waters?
Yeah, I don't really have a favorite, but I do prioritize the Chaldean and the basic English ordinal. And a lot of the time I also use full reduction. So it's just English ordinal. ABC is 1, 2, 3, Z is 26, but then reduced below 9 or below 10. So 1 through 9. I really like that cipher a lot.
Right?
That's fine as well. Yeah, that's another powerful cipher. I'm not one to say that one cipher is better than the other. What I think matters most is what's your utility for the cipher. So to get that out of the way, like I'm a crypto and market decoder most of the time. That's what I'm putting my energy into, decoding the markets and trying to, teach people how they could benefit from that. But furthermore, I know there's people out there that are interested in decoding sports, right? So everyone has their own utility, and I think that's what's best to kind of just attack it from that angle. But at the end of the day, Gematria is Hebrew, and anyone who's doing non-Hebrew alphabet is not doing actual Gematria, but we just call it Gematria for semantic purposes. So I would be telling people I do Gematria, but I'm using the English language. And I think that's very important to delineate, because a lot of the time when you get into real Hebrew Gematria, you go down a whole different rabbit hole than the typical stuff you're seeing, maybe even on my channel. So I'm a big fan of real Gematria, but it has such a big learning curve, and it's a more philosophical concept, whilst this English language, this spellcraft language that we have, it's effectively designed to just reprogram your subconscious and make you completely deactivated in a lot of ways. But real Hebrew Gematria is powerful stuff, and Greek isopsophy is also incredibly powerful, but those are rarely ever shown to anyone. We rarely see a rabbi, for instance, on a live stream showing you real Gematria. So it is important, like if people are getting into some of this stuff, it's cool, but once you get down the rabbit hole of true Gematria, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it is a whole different ball game. And I always recommend anybody, like when they first start out, to start out with the English ordinal, because it's based on our language. It's really, it's pretty easy to, that's a good one to master that one, and then move on to the others, because that's what I learned from first English ordinal. But I like reduction too. I think Pythagorean's got a lot of, I just started really getting into that one. And another one based on 1 through 7, Marty Leeds in Sepentry. I found some crazy stuff. Like if you're decoding biblical, or anything tied to that number 7, that's a really good one to use for that. I know Logan started out really using that cipher a lot before he got into Chaldean. So you guys got a lot of different ciphers on your calculator over there. Before we go into these clips, let me pull up your guys's calculator you got over here, because it's just really amazing what you guys have
By
done.
the way, I'm gonna give Logan his flowers for that. That's all him. Like, I even talked about this the day that he launched this platform. What it was birthed from, believe it or not, was I was talking with him about some issues that I have with a lot of date calculators. And if you come across my channel, you'll find that I'm working a lot with dates and numerology and astrology. Of course, I do apply gematria, but I love the date calculations and using that for predictive analysis, right? Because that's a big part of the markets. Now, with the ciphers and all of that wizardry, that's really Logan's work. He's the one that influenced me into getting into Chaldean, but all the other stuff, Pi Phi, and I mean, it's madness. He's really the master of all the ciphers. And I actually brought this up to him that I'm actually working on my own date calculator behind the scenes. So that will be 100% me working with a programmer that's in my community. So I will definitely be giving all the credit to him as a programmer. I've been the mastermind behind coming up with all of the elements of this, but it's going to be super like a symphony of all the most important things when it comes to numerology, astrology, dates, concepts like eclipses, equinoxes, sidereal and tropical astrology. We're going to have lunar astrology built in. We're going to also go into Hebrew numerology. So a lot of people, when they do date numerology, they're using the Gregorian system. And I find value in that. But there's, of course, inaccuracies in Gregorian. Like when we have let's just say it's October 21st today. We know October, octo, and prefix in Latin is 8, but we still call it the 10th month. And then we get discrepancies with our numerology, right? So I'm going to be recreating a lot of those to give more accurate dates. And then this way, I think it's going to be a revolutionary calculator for people that get into date numerology.
That's really cool, bro. Yeah. I just embedded your guys' thing right here on Truth Mafia. So the link in there, guys, you'll see a link in the description. It'll take you to this video where Logan introduces the DEKODA Public Calculator. And then it's right embedded right there, right on our page. So you can check it out under his thing. He's got some really cool ciphers we don't even have. It's a pretty cool one. Of course, we got ours over here. And shout out to my boy. He built this one. I got to give him credit, my boy Paranoid American. And as far as a date calculator goes, brother, you should check his out. His is pretty cool. And you can click on like this little moon down here. And then like say it's a specific day, you click on the moon and it'll tell you everything that ever happened in history on that day.
Whoa. Yeah. If you want to send me that link, I'll definitely check it out.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
So he's got some pretty cool stuff on there. Let me show my screen right there. Sorry about that. That way they can see what we're talking about. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. So here's the one. Yeah. You click on like this little moon thing right there. And then it gives you all these different events that happened on that day.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, man. So
that's really amazing. I wonder how they coded that in. I'll have them get in contact with my coder.
Well, he's you could talk to. I'll plug you in with Paranoid American. He's one of the best coders, bro. He built this over a weekend for me. I was like, dude, I can't get nobody to build me a calculator. And then he built this in a weekend. It's got all the elements on the periodic table built into it.
Wow. Yeah, this was an idea that me and Logan had too, but we haven't quite gotten around to that yet. Amazing.
He's even got the banned word list, bro. So like if there's certain words we can't say on YouTube, they can go on here and correspond it. Me and him are getting ready to do some other things with this platform called decode.com. But yeah, I think it's really cool how, like with you launching your thing, I'll plug you in with Paranoid American. He can probably give you some good ideas with the code. And we just all of us learn from each other and make it better and
Yeah, that's
better
what's
for
up.
our followers. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
100%. I mean, my thing was just me trying to come up with solutions to make my own personal decoding a little bit more efficient, right? And with decoding in my work, I'm using the moon phases, I'm using date numerology, I'm looking at eclipses, and I had to have like 7 tabs open, right? So I was just like, well, fuck this. Let me just build something where everything is in one box and it's correlating with another box that has all the same information. And then I could see the relationship between the two.
Yeah, that it's always cool when a real decoder builds one of them. And then, we try to, like the one over there, it's 100% free. One day we might put a membership section on there, but the basic thing is always going to be free for the people, because there's other calculators on the internet that used to be cool, and now you go on their platform and it's just all ads. It's like hard.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Yeah, it sucks, man. So it's like, come on, man, with all this ad stuff. But guys, you can check out Waters, his website. He's got a bunch of cool stuff over here. His courses, his merchandise, his Patreon. He has an awesome Patreon. So let's get into the show now, brother. I want to show you. Let me stop my screen share. I want to show you this video that is making its way, especially in our community. And then we'll have a little conversation about that. I got a couple queued up for you. But this one first. Let's take a look at this, guys.
Big, talking about the Hunt family, knee deep in the assassination of JFK, that the NFL is gay. Have I said this in a tweet like August 2020? All of a sudden, they want to award me a special presentation. Just like how Franco Harris did a special interview before he was killed. This is how they get you. You former football players, they get you to show up at interviews. They get you to show up at presentations. And if you don't understand the numerology of anything, this is how they can get you and trap you. I would have gone and wouldn't know. And they could have easily put me in a predicament. I could have been at the bar. I could have been drinking. They could have came to my hotel. Any situation that would have fit my natural foolishness, which means either been drinking or been in a fight with a woman. That would be the only thing they would catch me with, and they would tell you this is how I felt. He died from alcohol poisoning, or he died fighting. And people would have believed it. If I went to that show and y'all would have heard that I got killed and you would have told you I died by alcohol poisoning or something like that, most of you would have believed it because you know that's usually what I've been in trouble for. This is how they get you. It's kind of comical because once you understand numerology and gematria and they use the same numbers over and over and over again, it becomes pattern recognition. Okay? I've seen a lot of football players die and it be because of numerology. I've seen a lot of celebrities die and it be because of numerology. And it's always when they're by themselves, they're found dead in a hotel, or some craziness that they attach it to. And no one can know what's the real truth because they're really that slick with it if you don't have your eyes open. So it's funny to me that these people do not like me. They do not like me around when I was there. When I was in the world, they didn't want me around. So all of a sudden, they're going to give me a presentation after me saying football been rigged, after me saying their family did everything they did. All this stuff I've been talking that smoke, and they want to invite me into an award show to give me a special award for something.
Bro.
Yeah. What do you think about that, bro? I was like, when somebody sent that to me, Waters, I was so shocked, bro, that he even mentioned gematria. I'm like, whoa, he knows. It made me a fan of his instantly.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've known about him for a long time, and just unbelievable to see how many people are now kind of waking up to what these things are through that clip and through him. And I think he's probably had a couple other clips from the past, but yeah, that one blew up. And I don't know, man. I'm not sure where he's at with his knowledge in gematria and numerology. So I would definitely love to see what he's working on, because he's just kind of spitting out a lot of information, and it's very, very tough for the average person to probably even know what the hell he means, because who the hell knows what gematria is, right? Nobody you've ever met knows that. So this is one of those moments where it's like, oof, I wonder how many people are going to actually investigate this further, or how many people are going to watch this and just go, this shit's crazy. But we've had enough weird incidences now happening with celebrities where I think a lot of people are going to go, okay, at least I get that part. And then it's going to be the part of the rabbit hole. And I love it. I mean, it's great. It's very courageous for him to do, because when you start talking like that, I mean, they could take you out whenever they want. So it would be super dope to be able to have a podcast with him and talk and see like what has he heard behind the scenes, because he was in the NFL for a while. I think he even has a record. He has a record for he was the running back for the Chiefs, I believe.
Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs. He was really good, bro.
Yeah, he was super talented athlete. And I wonder if he got into gematria, numerology, or any of these things during his time in the NFL, or if it was after. That's what I would love to ask him.
Yeah, I had my team reach out to him, and Donut will tell you one thing I'm good at, bro. I can get people on the show that no one ever thought we could get. So I'm confident that we could probably get him. And I'm sure he probably even knows of some of us if he's paying attention to gematria.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, he has to know my work, because there's a lot of those moments where I found someone kind of important knows about what I'm up to just because of crypto, because crypto's so popular, right? But
yeah,
a lot of the gematria. I mean, I might be the only kind of known gematria decoder who's specifically doing finance, right? A majority of them do sports. So yeah, I'm definitely thinking that just from that, there's probably a lot of athletes, a lot of celebrities that have found gematria through those sports decodes. But I would venture to say that because crypto is getting quite popular. Did I show you about the Scottie Pippen tweet?
No.
Bro, let me show you this. It's crazy. I don't know if
you can share your screen if you put present.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me try to find it.
Yeah, I got a pretty cool clip too I want to show you. It's about the currency because, I mean, bro, I've been saying this since 2019 without me getting into what we were on lockdown for. I don't want to say that word because, we're on YouTube, but we call it Code Red over here. So that's the nickname for it. That whole Code Red situation, I really believe a lot of it is just to collapse the physical currency and, get us into this whole digital currency, social credit score, that whole situation. And I guess there's like all these rumors right now, Waters. I'm not sure how true it is, but that other countries have already collapsed certain currencies, and like some of these third world countries, they're burning the banks down and all kinds of craziness. And there's a complete media blackout on it. I've seen a couple of videos, but they get taken down so fast. There definitely is something going on with it that it seems like they're trying to hide. And what's interesting too, Waters? So about a couple months back, I'm always on a VPN, right? I don't trust nothing. So I'm on a VPN, a firewall. It's triangulating me in like 3 different locations at once. And when I was on the VPN in Brazil and France, and I would try to go onto my Rumble, it wouldn't let me go on there. It said these 2 countries are banned. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. And I remember I brought that up to my community. I said, guys, for some reason, France and Brazil are banned on Rumble. Next thing I see, Brazil bans X completely. Like it's gone there. So now there's something going on in Brazil and something in France where this whole media blackout thing is, and they're telling us, oh, it's because of this, but I'm not buying it, bro. I think something way bigger is going on down there.
Yeah. Well, BRICS is the first in the acronym BRICS. And that comes back to this conversation about what's going on with finance, because BRICS is a big part. And then the banking collapses that are slowly happening is because of Basel III regulations. And we're going to be moving into Basel III Endgame next year. So if people in your community are aware of this or brand new, I mean, get ready. We're going to see a lot more regional banks start to fail ASAP. Like we just had one this Saturday. It was called like Lindsay First Bank. I forgot what state it was in, but they're going to keep happening. We had a couple big ones last year. We're going to have more, a lot more in March and April of this upcoming year, 2025, the year of the snake. And then we'll have way more in September, October of next year following the total lunar eclipse in September. But yeah, this tweet that you have up right here is wild, because Scottie Pippen, for those of you that don't know, was on the Chicago Bulls during the time where they were the greatest team pretty much in the existence of all sports.
Right.
They're always being referred to as like the greatest, right? And they have their own rivalry between Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. It's a big dramatic bullshit, but to get to the point here, this guy is super famous in the world of sports, and he has this tweet which I don't believe is cryptic. I believe it's because he probably is watching my channel. And he says, Satoshi Nakamoto visited me in a dream last night. He said the real Bitcoin bull run hasn't even started. On November 15th, 2024, the super moon will rise and the bulls will reign. And I have this clip that's right below it from my Instagram, but it's being taken from a YouTube video that I put out in September. So this was like a full month before this was even spoken about. And the reason for this November 15th date isn't just because it's a full moon. There's a couple other things going on astrologically, but it's the last day that Saturn's retrograde, and Saturn will go direct on November 15th. And Saturn is Satoshi. So this is this kind of dynamic mythological story playing out. And you probably know about Saturnalia, which is in December, right?
Yes.
Well, in December, we also have a black moon. We have 2 new moons in 1 month. So this is really big energetics. We know that the crypto market in general has been sideways for over half a year now. But the fact that Scottie Pippen came out and shared this exact date is crazy, because it's a date that I've been specifically talking about on my channel for probably like 4 or 5 months now, ever since Saturn went retrograde back in June. I've been pretty much revealing this date.
August 29th, you did one crypto bull run decode. I wonder if you got any of that from that one. You got the big bull on the front of it. Remember you did that one?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wonder if that has any but yeah, you got a bunch of them, bro. There's been numerous times where you said Black Swan events were going to happen, and then they happened. So, I'm like, man, this dude, he's definitely tuned into something. It's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, a lot of it came to me through studying the Chinese zodiac. I think that's been probably the most powerful element of all of my work, which is crazy, right? Because most people skip over that one. But I've realized you could keep it super simple, and just every time you see a big important year, just bring it back to the Chinese zodiac and you'll see some connections.
Yeah, you had this one, March 2024, Black Swan confirmed. You had a couple on the Black Swan events where you were right on, bro. You nailed it. So yeah, you got some pretty.
Yeah, that one with Ibrahim Raisi dying in the helicopter crash on May 19th. It was a 68 double-digit date numerology. They love that. Last Trump assassination attempt was on a 68 double-digit date numerology. It's the war code. So the Russian-Ukrainian. Sorry?
Every World War I started with numerology 68, World War II, and the Ukraine war. Mm-hmm. And another interesting thing about that, brother, 1968, that was the year they say we allegedly went around the moon, right? It was the year they coined the word coronavirus, made 9/11 the emergency dialing code that year. Broke grounds on the World Trade Center that year. Mm-hmm. George Bush graduated Skull and Bones that year. Wow. 33 years later, he's the president and the towers come down.
Yeah.
19 years later, COVID-19, and we're on that whole 19-year Metonic moon cycle, the 19 hijackers. So it's kind of interesting when you see that pattern recognition, right?
Yeah, and they've been ritualizing 19 standard date numerology this entire year. Like the first assassination attempt of Trump was on a 19. Ibrahim Raisi died on the 19th day of May. There's been so many connections for that specific date numerology. It's been wild.
Yeah, it's been crazy out. There's our boy Donut. Shout out to Donut Factory, guys, with his little reptilian in the thing. Go check out Little Donut.
Yeah, shout out to Donut. I haven't heard from him in a long time. I hope he's doing well.
He is doing well. I talked to Little Donut a couple times a week. He's always doing good and always high spirits. So he's got really good energy too. This other clip I want to show you. This one's going viral right now. It's talking about. I really don't understand everything this guy's talking about. That's why I wanted to show it to you. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can tell us. It's about the finances, though.
Steps that are going to take place. Well, now once the FedNow system goes in place, it's supposed to go online July 1st. That's the infrastructure that allows the CBD to work. Now, they're saying the cover story, if you Google what that is, it says it's a payment processing, point to point. So it's instantaneous. That's all bullshit. That's the cover story. Because if they told you this is the infrastructure for what's going to make you a slave from now on, nobody would go for it. Like, they would revolt. So they have to put a cover story out about what it is so that you'll allow it to go in place. So just know that that story is bull. Once that's in place, you'll watch the markets start to decline because now they're set up and they need to crash the markets, cut off the supply of money, which is already happening in other countries. If you've not seen the videos, because they only last a few minutes when people post them before they take them down, of the riots going on and the banks being burnt to the ground in other countries right now because they've already seized their money. They've got a total blackout on it.
So what's he talking about there?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. Like, first and foremost, I don't know who that is. Secondly, the date of when that was released must have been before July of 2023, which was last year, over a year ago now. And the most important thing about all of this is the stock market as of today is at all-time highs, and it's substantially higher than when FedNow was launched. So everything he said in that video as a form of like predictive analysis was completely inaccurate. Again, no offense. Maybe he's not actually a finance guy and he just knows about FedNow and CBDCs.
I don't even. He was on Alex Jones's show yesterday, so they just shared that clip. It went viral yesterday.
Okay, yeah. Well, FedNow was launched last year in July, so that actually I gave a decode for before it happened because I did a decode on the Titanic and the connections between the date numerology with the Titanic event, the Boston Marathon bombing, also Notre Dame fire, and how it landed on that specific day of April 15th, landing on a Monday, on a moon day. But anyways, that's just a side note. But that data allowed me to determine that there'd be an event for April in this year, because April 15th landed on a Monday, and then we had the burning of the Copenhagen Stock Exchange. So I don't want to go into too many directions, but I was using that April 14th, April 15th data for what eventually ended up being the sinking of that the Titan submersible. You probably remember that event. That was last year. And then that led to the launch of FedNow, which was very surprising, by the way. Like, nobody really anticipated the launch of FedNow.
Yeah.
It was just kind of out of nowhere. And they don't ask the public to vote on this, right? Like, they don't let you have a choice in what they end up doing in regards, because the Federal Reserve's not federal at all. It's not tied to your personal government. It's not tied to the USA. It's its own private institution. It could do whatever it wants. Nobody could veto what they do. They run the show. Anywho, a lot of people have become hip to what CBDCs are, central bank digital currencies. And in my opinion, CBDCs are equivocal to like Agenda 2030, where everyone is starting to wake up to it, even people who have no clue about much at all. And then they start throwing around these ideas as if things are going to go this way. And I think the New World Order wants us to do that. They want us to like be all doom and gloom and low spirits and just like never feel like we're ever going to be able to figure shit out. So since the launch of FedNow, the market has gone up more and more and more since. Now, but he did mention some things that are quite valid, which like the banking system is slowly crumbling. But that's been the case for a long time now, man. Like, it's just the same old shit happening in different areas, and you could point to isolated events and go, look, see, I was right. But you know, at the end of the day, we're still using tap to pay on our phones, and we're ordering food on Uber Eats, and everything's pretty solid. Like, I think these doom and gloomers, especially the people that are showing up in like the Alex Jones situation, they don't see the chess game here. There's a really deep methodical chess game, and we're all here playing checkers, right? People like me and you and our audiences, we're learning the rules of the game, right? Like, we're finally learning how to move the knight and move the bishop and move we're past the pawns. And that's good. We're evolving. You know, it's not that we're better than anyone. It's that we're evolving. You know, Larry Johnson, you had on before, he's evolved to that place where he can now see behind the curtain, and it's going to allow him to make some deeper connections. So I don't really have too much doom and gloom regarding CBDCs, But I do think that the infrastructure has been laid out for a lot longer than just the introduction of FedNow. And that's part of their chess game. It's the same thing with the invention of Bitcoin. People think that Bitcoin was just invented in 2012 or 2009. I think that's horseshit. I think Bitcoin was invented probably post World War II by the same people that did Operation Paperclip and launch of the federal, launch of United Nations and World Economic Forum and all of these globalist institutions. They knew about the creation of the credit card and Bitcoin before they created credit cards and Bitcoin. It's all just part of their, I call it planned product obsolescence. That's a term that we hear with technology. They're doing the same thing with the financial system. So they know that these things are momentary and they're going to fail and they'll have a replacement system, but they need people to be comfortable with it. And I don't think anyone I've ever met knows what FedNow is, but a lot of people I've met have heard the term CBDC because of the rise of some of these savvy people who are market analysts, or even people on like MSNBC, CNBC, CNN. They've come out and talked about CBDCs. So the last thing to say on this is CBDCs are not esoteric. They're exoteric. A lot of people have heard this term. And what's the solution? You rarely hear anyone give you that.
Right.
So it's like, why are you telling me about the problem if you can't give me the solution? There's no point of even, it's just kind of spinning our wheels here. And it sounds like it's to build the negative and overshadow the positive.
So with the digital currency, do you think it's going to be XRP? Do you think that'll be the one they'll go with when it does come into play?
No. I believe that there's a technology that Ripple and many other companies have been working in the background to build out, but they're being used like any other tech company is being used. Like Google is being used by the NHS. Like everybody is being used in this grand script. When you think somebody has power, if you know them, they probably don't have power. Yeah. If you're seeing Elon Musk get up on stage and grab a microphone, he's probably not as powerful as you think. It's the people that we never get to see, that we don't know their names, that are actually running the world. So just to get to the quick end of this, it's like the people at Ripple and the thing we call XRP is known. The same thing with the Federal Reserve. They are known, like we all know them. It's the things that start getting launched under us that we don't even realize. Like, for instance, I think we're going to watch a moment where a lot of tech companies start making their own stable coins. Now, you need to watch out for that. When Amazon creates Amazon coin and you could only buy from Amazon with Amazon coin. You feel me? When you could only pay for your YouTube subscription with YouTube coin, when you could only pay for your, this is the world we're going to move into. You're worried about CBDCs, like wake up. We're moving into a world where everyone is going to create their own currencies on the blockchain. And that's what will make the New World Order go say, whoa, we can't have this shit. We need to regulate this. We need to make this a unified concept. And then boom, then that's in my opinion, how it's all going to unravel. But to answer your question about Ripple, no, they're being used very much so for the cryptocurrency people to have this belief that that's how it's going to go. And that's a very dangerous thing because that's how cults form. So they're building their entire investment thesis off of this theory. And for the most part, they're right about some of it, but a majority of what they're forecasting and how it's going to make them rich, that's completely wrong. It's not going to make you rich to be investing in the technological layer behind the commercial banking system or the retail banking system, because remember, the infrastructure needs to be something that is not fluctuating. It's not volatile, right, bro? Like imagine I wanted to sell an item. Oh, no, actually, I'll make it super simple. So we're not working in theory, we're working in fact. Do you know about the Weimar Republic?
No, I'm not.
Okay, just really quick, like leading up to leading up to the rise of Hitler, we had this financial collapse going on in Germany created by the Zionists. So we had this thing called wheelbarrow money. And people who got their paychecks would go out and immediately buy shit because by the end of the day, the price would be higher. So people were just like, their money was devaluing so rapidly that it would be like a wheelbarrow of money. This is all like it's like more being hyperbole right now, but I'm just giving you all like something to visualize. It would be like a wheelbarrow of money buys you a loaf of bread.
Yeah, they were like they were saying they were burning money during that time, and
yeah, it was toilet paper. So this is what happened to the Turkish lira recently.
It's
what happened to the Argentinian peso, Colombian peso. These fiat monies have gone to dust, and we're just watching the ashes blow away in the wind. And the solution to it all is this larger system that they're building out behind us. But I mean, Weimar Republic in mind, you don't want to have that level of volatility for a base layer currency. You understand what I mean, right?
Yeah.
You would only want that with something that you would be tradable in and of itself for fiat, but you wouldn't put that behind services. You wouldn't put that behind, it would just be too chaotic. And I don't think that's what the Ripple people are assuming. I don't think that's what the XRP people are assuming. But again, in order for it to have this coin appreciate in price so dramatically, you can't have it be commercial and regular and a household thing if it's going to have that level of volatility. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. It would have to be super, super low volatility and like a stable coin, like $1 per dollar. And it would have to match. And then it would also have to match all the other currencies around the world. For instance, if I pay for something in Europe, they use the euro, I use the US dollar, it will do some conversion rate, right? And then the same thing would be for Australia. Well, the New World Order is trying to move into a system where we're not going to have those conversion rates anymore. But if I was to give somebody Bitcoin for a service in Argentina and they received Bitcoin, well, it's Bitcoin for Bitcoin and I get the service, right? So this is the conversation. I don't think, you know what? I'll end it here by saying, I don't even think the XRP or Ripple people should want that, because that doesn't benefit your goals or agendas at all financially. It would just get the work done for the New World Order, which then would make it not an investment for somebody who knows truth.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because like all the people that are supposed to be experts in the whole Bitcoin thing, you always hear them saying, yeah, when the digital currency comes in, it's going to be XRP. Like all of them are programming that XRP thing. So that's interesting to hear your perspective on that, man.
It's kind of like this. Like, imagine XRP was included in some capacity, but it would be like the rails on the railroad. It's not the train. It's not the tickets you buy to get on the train. It's not the nails in the ground. It's not the ground itself. You feel me? There's many layers here in the train.
No, yeah. No,
that would probably be my best way of explaining it. Like, if I had to explain what XRP is to somebody who's brand new to all of this, just imagine it's like the rails, and that's fine. That the rails are fucking super important, right? Like, having a paved road is important when you're driving a car, but it's not the whole thing. It's not the value. The value is movement of the thing that's in that car, right? The value would be, can I get these bricks of gold in the back of my freight train from here to Switzerland? And if the answer is yes, then great, the rails serve their purpose, but it's not the rails that have the value. It's the fucking gold.
Right. And do you think there's a point where gold could ever collapse or no?
Well, I mean, based in fiat, it would only go up. So by the way, I'm saying fiat, not fiat, for a reason, because that's the actual way it's pronounced. I heard Alan Greenspan himself said fiat, which works perfectly because that's what it is. It's a fight, and you need a military to protect it. It's the same thing with gold. Same exact concept. So gold is backed by dollars, right? It's valued in dollars, excuse me. So when we think of the collapse of anything, I don't think it's about that with the gold conversation. I think with gold, it'll lose its utility more and more and more as the older generation dies off. No offense, it's not something I want, but that's the inevitability of life. As older people die, younger people don't give a shit about investing in gold. Also, the dollar in and of itself is designed to devalue and collapse slowly, and then we'll eventually have fully digital cashless society. And gold will have no use case at all, because Well, first of all, you can't use it right now. Like, I can't take my gold coin and go to the grocery store. I would hand it to the person and they'd be like, what the fuck do I do with this?
Right.
They can't like break it down into smaller gold chunks to give me my change back. And 1 gold ounce is like 3,000, almost 3K. So if my groceries are $100, what are they going to do? What are they going to cut a piece of it off and then weigh it on a scale? They don't have any of this shit. They can't do that. It has no utility as a transactable currency. People call it money, right? And that's fair. It's a store of value momentarily, but it's an archaic store of value. And I'm not trying to be negative about gold. I personally hold about 10% gold in my overall portfolio.
Yeah, I got
but it's still smarter to go the route of where's the New World Order driving this train. They're making it digital. Like, we're heading into the age of Aquarius. So you don't want to be burdened by the physical stuff because that's not going to have value in the future. Again, no offense to those out there that are sensitive to this stuff. But the New World Order doesn't care about your feelings. They have a script to play out, and the script is we're in the transition between the Piscean age and the Aquarian age, and we're heading into a world where there will be no paperwork. Everything will be biometric. Everything will be tapped into whatever smartphone you own, and then eventually it'll be wearable and then injectable, and then we end up with, like Black Mirror.
Yeah. So the black goo digital chip that we'll all have, it's definitely headed that way. And I think a lot of that ties back into the whole Saturn situation too. It's like they're trying to trap us in a matrix within a matrix. They're creating this whole kind of a phantom matrix. It's like when you take a website, you have the original, then you create a copy of that. So the original is still there, but you can put all the other users on this copy, right? This artificial version of reality. And I mean,
well, what are you? Aren't you just a copy of your parents' copy of your parents'
no doubt.
Yeah. That's the most important thing to realize about Saturn. I'm not sure where you stand on this, but I'm very big into the mythology, and everyone gets into the Saturn guy as if it's like the Satan, like the bad person, and this, that, and the third. But everyone needs to remember,
planet, brother. I'm a Capricorn. Saturn's my ruling planet. I was born on Monday, Moon Day, so I'm not anti Saturn. Saturn puts us to the test. It's there for a reason.
Yeah, that definitely resonates. Saturn is symbolic of this physical experience here in the Matrix, and that's the purpose of that black cube symbolism, that Metatron's cube symbolism. So, like, one of my favorite Renaissance paintings that you see quite often, if you go into any museum that has Renaissance paintings, you'll see some stuff of Saturn, probably a lot of Mercury, a lot of Mars, but there will be a painting of Saturn clipping the wings off of Cupid. Have you ever seen this?
No. What's that all about?
So there's a lot of Chronos Saturn symbolism that shows Saturn like eating babies.
Yeah.
We've all seen that. But really what this is it's telling you about a much more deeper story. It's not evil. It's not satanic. Okay.
Time meets everything.
It's when you were born into this matrix, you were delivered, meaning D is to remove, live. It's to remove your life. When you were born from your mother, she gives you the thing called death. She's not the deliverer of life. Please, women out there, don't take this personally. I'm trying to educate you into the language spells. So when you deliver the child into the world, you are taking away its purely spiritual essence, okay? You are making it part of the matrix now. It's part of the simulacrum. So when Saturn is cutting off the wings from the baby, Cupid, who is Eros, this is where we get the word eroticism from. This is the visual that we get of baby Cupid. So, and Valentine's Day and this, that, and the third. But the clipping of the wings off of Cupid is showing you that the wings are a spiritual symbol. And now you're here. Welcome to life, where you are no longer spiritual anymore. You're a spiritual being inside of a physical costume, a physical avatar. And this is what you have to learn how to master here in life, here in the Matrix, just like Neo does. So that symbolism is not evil. It's that Saturn is Father Time, and time is only physical. You cannot have time in the spirit realm.
That's interesting. Yeah.
There is no time in the spirit realm. Age and decay and rotting and birth and death and life, these are physical phenomenon. When you're spirit, you're just infinite light, you're infinite consciousness. And then you get born and you're given the identity Tommy and this, that, and the third.
Right.
So this is a very powerful thing to realize. And it's all been even termed into the stages of birth and the symbology you get with the Vatican. One of my favorite things to tell the women that are burdened by this information that I just gave them is when you have the baby, what do they call it when the head's coming out?
What do they call it?
They call it the crowning.
The crowning.
So you are crowning the king. The mother is crowning her child. And now you're born king. You're born queen. You don't need to have all of this nonsense of government and title and this, but they created that. The Vatican made that, right? They forced us into it.
To maritime law too, right?
Precisely, admiralty and maritime law. But what's so fascinating about this is like we are all crowned. We're all given that halo, and that's the symbology we get with Saturn. It's Saturn's rings. You were given the crown of Saturn, Saturn's halo, but he has to clip your wings off. Get over it.
Right. Yeah.
Welcome to another day in the Matrix.
Welcome
so you're here.
Yeah.
And that's what's so beautiful about it is when you get neutral to everything I just said and you see it for what it is, then you realize, oh, I have to master time by not being upset about yesterday and not being worried about tomorrow. Then you're walking with Saturn. You're walking with the Grim Reaper. He's your homie. Like Saturn is your best friend in this matrix. You need to realize that he's here to walk you through this thing called life. And that's why we have the Saturn's return and yada, yada, yada. But that's also why they have these people worshiping the cube unconsciously in all of this Abrahamic religion stuff. And I believe you showed a lot of symbols there.
Yeah. And Saturn is really heavily tied to materialism, right? All the material world. So
because it is material. Everything about Saturn is showing you life. Everything about the Saturnian symbolism, the hexagons, the rings, all of this, even the stuff that they're doing in Judaism, wearing the black cube on their forehead, the tefillin, wrapping the Saturn's rings around, putting the cube on the bicep. This is all ritual, and it's not evil. It's not. It's just paying homage to the maker of the Lord of Lords. You know, Kendrick Lamar says it in that song "Count Me Out," but nobody hears it. He says most of you blame it on the devil when you fall short. I blame it on my ego, Lord of all lords. Because your ego is the identity, and the identity is the Saturnian experience. It's the Saturnian aspect of it all.
Yeah, it's so fascinating when you look at it like that, because I think we get caught up, a lot of us, with looking at everything as evil, especially, you know, I call them freshly red pill people, or these kindergarten truth seekers, where they're like, yeah, he's wearing the color red, that's Satan. You know, it's like they don't even understand the red and blue, how it ties into the pillars of Solomon, the sacred feminine, sacred masculine, all that,
right.
Which also represents, you can have the gold and silver. The gold represents the sun, the silver, the moon. You know, it's all that sacred feminine, masculine. There's nothing evil about the color red.
Yeah.
But,
right.
You know, some people...
And there's nothing positive about it either. Like the people that are like, oh, the red pill, and they think that's a good thing. And it's like, that's not what it is, guys. It's choice. This is all symbolic of choice. Every great movie, you'll realize that that's the main theme. In The Matrix, that was definitely the main theme. In Stranger Things, that's absolutely the main theme.
Oh, I love Stranger Things. It's my favorite, dude.
Yeah, and like I actually have this pretty amazing visual representation I'm going to share about the below world, like what they're calling the upside down in Stranger Things.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's plenty of things I could answer if you have any questions off the top of your head, but it's such a grandiose concept to lay out. It's just my realization of like, we have the as above, so below, right?
Right.
The key as above, so below is it's your body is teaching you about the cosmos, not the other way around. And that's why they gave people the thing called astrology, so that you externalize yourself from the stars and then you never learn anything about yourself. When in actuality, you are to learn know thyself, right? Remember in the Matrix movie where he goes to meet the Oracle and it says, know thyself above the doorway?
Yep.
Yeah, the Oracle of Delphi and all that. So, like, when you know thyself, then all the art and imagery and everything that you see will no longer be looked at as duality consciousness. You won't look at it as good and evil anymore, right? Because everything is an extension of you. You are the universe, and everything is just happening because you exist. Right? So once this realization is in place, you remove the polarities, even though you're aware the polarities need to be. Without them, we would have collapse. So they provide structure, but that's not where you end. You don't end on Republican, Democrat. That's slavery. You have to go beyond. You don't end at red pill, blue pill. You have to go beyond. And a lot of people, they don't ever have the intuitive force to go beyond. They're usually just programmed into this is right and everything else must be wrong, or everything is wrong, this must be right. And they're divided in that sense. So the realization that I had of, okay, sure, my body teaches me about the cosmos. And if I want to learn about the cosmos, of course I could learn more about me. But let's take it further. What if below is a mirror world, or just a reflection of what's happening here? And whilst here we have the light, and we have this diurnal existence,
Right.
like day and night. Maybe down there they don't have that, but they have a different interpretation of that. And then I thought about what it's like to be in a black room. And they show you this a lot in the Stranger Things show. They show you Jonathan character, and Jonathan is always safe for some weird reason. Like, you know how some characters are always like getting harmed and fucked with, and some are not?
Yeah.
Jonathan is like unscathed. Homie goes through the whole fucking show and like never actually has any problems. And I'm talking all the way until the end too. And
yeah. He never does he?
Exactly. And my point here is that Jonathan's the photographer. So it's like Jonathan's like the pineal gland of the whole show, and nobody even realizes it because it's always the truth is hidden in plain sight, but it's very like subtle. But he keeps going into this. He keeps going into these, and he's a photographer. He keeps going into the rooms, these dark rooms.
Yeah.
But then they get to the Vecna story, and in the Vecna story, they show you this red underworld. This and to me, I think they're revealing something. And I've loved how the Matrix movie in particular reveals to you all the mythology with like the Merovingian and Persephone and the Keymaker.
Right.
And I personally feel that that's how our world is. We have this world that we associate with as like very fine line between good and bad, right? But then we have that world that they're showing you in Stranger Things where that shit doesn't exist. Like there's no emotions in that world.
Like
this is the world of emotions down there that doesn't exist. So that's kind of like my take on it. And I could get into a lot of other stuff, but it's a good starting point for a fractal in conversation.
Like kind of like in Dark City in the Matrix, they got a very similar theme to them, the scorched, darkened world, right?
Mm-hmm.
They both got that.
Bro, I haven't watched this movie Dark City in so long. So now that you brought this up, I need to rewatch it because I'm sure it'll be so inspiring for some of the things that I have going on.
Oh, you'll love it, dude. And they both got this the spiral staircase with the whole, checkerboard floor, the duality of it all. They both have the injection into the mind, the parasite octopi. I always think of the archons with that. They all have the scorched world. The hero escapes from the false reality, stopping bullets with the mind. They have the three the antagonists, in Dark City and in the Matrix, and they
the agents.
Yeah, the Agent Smith. So this is and I look at Neo like Jesus Christ, which Neo code equals 36, Jesus Christ equals 36. They're in Chaldean. Because in Gnosticism, that was what Jesus was. He was sent back to bring man the true knowledge of Yaldabaoth being the demiurge and this false god. And, it's kind of like that same story of Neo waking up.
Yeah, there's parallels.
Yeah, it's pretty.
There's definitely parallels. I'm in the process of fully decoding this Matrix movie, but I've had to break it into sections because it's so magnificent. You know, it's like, where do you even get started? There's so many independent scenes in the Matrix movie that have a deep meaning and come back to esoterica. And same thing with Stranger Things, same thing with Star Wars, same thing with a lot of these Hollywood movies. So it's dope to have the eyes of a decoder and then see things for what they are and realize that you know what the grand realization is, and perhaps this shifts the conversation. It's that the people who are making all of the movies, they don't have any creativity at all, because they're just taking mythology and repackaging it over and over and over again. It's just Uranus creates Saturn, gets overthrown by Jupiter, then blah blah blah. It's the same fucking story. They're not giving up on it because they can't. That's the story. Every fucking thing comes back to that. And then they turn it into the Jesus story. And it's like, great, we're back here at it again. And they make it feel old, but it's really just, it's the process of awakening. It's the process of becoming conscious. And it's the process of realizing that the body is here for a reason, and you're to synchronize with the spiritual self, or the etheric or ethereal body, with your still body, is what makes you the Christ. Just like Neo becomes the one, right? Neo is a neophyte. He's a novice. And then he finally realizes, oh, I can do all this shit. I can master this stuff. And then people start worshiping me for it. What does that sound like? So you're parallel drawn of the Jesus character. And then eventually you have to sacrifice yourself, because life isn't about staying here forever. It's about doing this thing called life fearlessly. Be fucking great. Don't be a hater.
Right.
Don't be a fucking hater. Be great. And then just keep it moving. And you'll pollinate this experience wonderfully. You know, there'll be so much creative essence pouring through you. And that's a really key piece to kind of keep coming back to, because I think people who are in the truth community need to have a takeaway here. And I see too much conspiring, too much like teeter-tottering. And it's like, if you want to get out of the playground, kids, you know, you're going to have to put this knowledge, you're going to have to turn this knowledge into gnosis. You're going to have to be able to transmute this data into creative essence and give something to the world, instead of just the back and forth between who the good guys are and who the bad guys are.
Yeah, become that alchemist. Learn to bend reality to your will.
Precisely.
You know, and I preach that all the time to my people. But yeah, it's fascinating. I love to hear different people's perspectives on it, and you know, it's really cool, and it does represent that whole Kundalini activation too, right? Activating that inner Christ, that inner Christos, releasing the Kundalini up to 33 vertebrae, and then what's that stuff called? There's like some
cerebral spinal fluid.
Yeah, that's where the story of Santa going down the chimney and all that, right?
Yeah, and you know what's fascinating? There's this, you know about the Sistine Chapel and the creation of Adam?
Enlighten me.
You've definitely seen this. Just Google it real quick while I'm talking. Just type in Sistine Chapel or the creation of Adam. It's a painting by Michelangelo. It's the fresco on the final room of the Vatican Museum.
Oh, okay. Yeah, where they're touching the fingers.
Precisely, yeah. And in this, you're gonna see, if you pull that up, I could walk everyone through it real quick.
I got it.
Great. If you could pull up the image.
This image here, brother?
The whole one, if you can, not just them touching. Yeah, maybe go just the first one that you see.
This one?
I can't see what you're doing on your screen.
Oh, it's not. Oh, let me go full screen. It's not showing you. Present, share screen. So I heard there's a blackout in Cuba, guys. Did you guys hear about that? We'll talk about that a little too here in a second. Some crazy blackouts. Was this the one you were talking about, brother?
Yeah. Can you get a lighter image, like not one that's so high contrast? Like click the one below it.
This one or this one?
Or the top right.
Top right.
Sorry, I would bring it up, but I'm like kind of not the most computer savvy. Yeah, okay. Just zoom in and that's good enough. So you're going to see God and then it's blanketed by this pinkish kind of like orb.
Whoa. I don't know what just happened right there. It took us way out of. All right, sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. I'll try to look it up real quick. That way I could show the exact image, and then
yeah, just share your screen. I'll let you 100%. Share.
Yeah, I'm trying right now. Let me know if you could see my screen.
Okay, let me give you Waters to control. Sorry, guys.
There you go. So over here, you're going to see this is actually a cross section of the brain.
Oh, wow.
Let me see if I could get a full image. Be even better.
I can already see it.
This is a cross section of the brain. So you have here at the legs, this is like the pons and the medulla. And this right there would be the thalamus. So what you see is God as a man, and the only other adult here in this cross section of, or it would be the sagittal section of the brain. The only other adult you see is a woman. The rest are children, like cherub kind of angels. Well, this woman would be in the third ventricle. So this like cave of Brahma, corpus callosum, this is the where the cerebral spinal fluid is kept. Okay. It's kept with God or the architect and the oracle, the mother of this matrix, who is she is the, how would I put it in like the most basic term? She's the foreshadowing of what becomes Eve. Okay. Because God is going to make her out of his rib, which is it's not necessarily the splitting of the atom, but it's pulling the electron out of that neutron, creating the duality of proton as atom and Eve as electron. But in the brain, before this happens, before this spark of them touching, this is all thoughts, by the way. This is like what's going on in your head. This is the creation of all things. Thoughts, which becomes thoth. But anyways, yeah, this is in the third ventricle.
She's even coming out of his rib right there, kind of, right?
No, well, yeah, that's one way to look at it for sure. Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it. And you know what's fucked? Sorry, you know what's messed up is with the translation from Hebrew and where they say rib, it's actually not the rib. It's that she's made of his. Oh man, I forgot the name of it, like baculum or something. It's the penis bone. It's not the rib. And what's fucking crazy, bro, is that like Adam is made hermaphrodite. And he's neutral until he becomes positive by the splitting of them, creating Eve from that. And what's so funny is the Hebrew word is tisla, which almost looks like Tesla. And I'm pretty certain that Nikola Tesla is not a real person. He's like a George Washington situation, or like a Napoleon, where they just took a random old man's picture and they called it Tesla, and we all believe it. You feel me?
You're probably right.
And I'm not even trying to be right. I'm just using my intuition here. And I know, in the great Oscar Wilde quote, everything popular is wrong. And they want you to believe in this Tesla guy, and they have Elon kind of like riding him. And needless to say, that word, that which of course isn't pronounced the way I said, but it's basically Tesla, and it's the penis bone. So now you know why the Tesla logo is this Baphomet head. Because that's the male or female reproductive anatomy. That's the fallopian tubes. Yep. That it's not a bad thing. Like everyone sees that and they're like, "Oh, it's evil," and it's like it's not. It's female and male reproductive anatomy. So Adam was a hermaphrodite, and then he gets split through the creation of Eve. He becomes a proton. She becomes an electron, and now you have life. And that's why they feel naked when she walks away from him and is tempted by knowledge, right? And then it keeps going and deeper, and it's more philosophical, but it's really dope when you look at it from that lens. And for them to show you this cross section of the brain the way they did shows you that they were high level, man. Like,
oh yeah,
super high level.
Who painted this guy, he knew.
Exactly. Michelangelo knew. And Michelangelo's not even a real person. You know, it's just all kind of shit that's probably been there for so long, and they found it later, and then they had to make up a narrative about it. Like, I'm sure you're savvy about that stuff.
Oh yeah,
Like a lot of the buildings and architecture, we have no fucking idea who built it.
Right.
Anything I'm told, I immediately say probably not, and then I just use my imagination from there. My imagination's usually more accurate.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy, dude. It's like nothing they tell us is quite accurate. Once you really look into it, it's like, man. Then you wonder, do they know, or do they not just want us to know the truth? Like, what is it? It's fascinating though. But so I guess we have a blackout in Cuba. Have you heard about this, Waters?
Yeah, I forgot. I think it was like Hurricane Oscar or something. It happened like 2 or 3 days ago. But please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the blackout was happening before that hurricane hit. So I don't know what the fuck's going on with that, but that all sounds to me like a humanitarian crisis. I don't feel so good about what's going on there.
Yeah, me neither. I get a bad feeling in my gut with all this stuff, like with the blackout in Cuba. Then there's the internet blackout in some of these other countries like Brazil, with they're cutting off. Because think about it, if they want to stop something from going viral, or they're doing something down there, they don't want the rest of the world to know.
Shut off the internet.
Rumble and Twitter are ones you want to cut people off from, right? Because Rumble, something can go viral. On YouTube, they kind of got back doors and everything. They can just take your video down or shut it down. I don't think they control Rumble as much yet, but I'm sure they will. Just like with Telegram, where they got that dude. Even if any of these people are real, maybe the government owns all these damn websites. Who knows for real? I have a feeling the whole story we heard with Facebook is a bunch of bullshit too. You look into Facebook, bro, and before it launched, they had this DARPA called LifeLog, where they were trying to do the exact same thing and harvest the data from all of us, and the Congress didn't want to go with it. And then the day LifeLog goes offline from DARPA, Facebook launches, and there's this whole Mark Zuckerberg character. Remember, they really drove it home with us. They made a movie about it. You remember that?
Yeah.
It's like, what type of narrative are you guys trying to set? But yeah, they say a nationwide blackout, now a hurricane. How much can Cuba endure? Oscar makes landfall in Cuba, could lead to humanitarian crisis. That was 10 hours ago.
Wow, they're literally using the term I just said. It's fucked
Yeah,
up.
yeah. It's pretty much exactly what you said.
No, it sucks, man. Like this weather weapon, it's a very clever weapon for them to use, because who can you blame it on, right? And I was trying to tell people about this a couple
100%.
weeks back with, Helene, and then all these events that have happened kind of like one by one, but people are seeing all these northern lights everywhere, the aurora. And I was trying to get people to kind of realize that this isn't natural. Like, this is the byproduct of the utility of HARP, So when they're lighting that up, you're going to see signs in the sky.
Yeah, well,
this is like biblical, right? Like they talk about this in Revelation.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you can look it up, man. I showed people. I did a whole video on it. YouTube actually striked me for it, and that's why I started the second YouTube channel, guys. And that link is down below, Truth Mafia TV. Because every time I get to a certain amount, they seem to take mine down, dude. This is my 30th YouTube channel since I've started this. Yeah, I've lost quite a few, but the HARP can create artificial aurora borealises. This is not a conspiracy. This is a fact. You can look it up on their own website. So,
well, bro, real quick, like I don't want to like bust your pineal gland, but I think I will right now. Like, do you remember in Stranger Things where they opened up Elle allegedly opens up that portal by killing one?
Yes.
Okay. And then he goes into the fucking underworld, and then hell is created by him or whatever. But the portal's open, right? And then Hawkins is like this portal's geolocation tag place. Well, my theory is that there's no such real thing necessarily as Aurora Borealis or as the Northern Lights. It's that there's a portal open at that quote unquote North Polar opening.
I'm with you.
And I can call it the Black Sun, for fun. I believe it probably is. It's not even about the sun. And that black sun is what's creating that, but that's a portal that was opened not artificially, but it was like a cataclysm. It was it was like when L opened up the portal, and that's your upside down. So you can get to your upside down through there, but you have to go through a fucked up world, right? But it's so funny how they tell you in like all the, you probably looked into Mount Shasta and Agartha and Hollow Earth and the stuff with Admiral Byrd. Yeah. And it's like they always make it seem like it's so pleasant down there. Like it's awesome. Like you went to a world of Narnia. But it's like, I don't think it's like that shit at all, bro. Like I bet it's exactly like Stranger Things.
Yeah,
it's a fucked up mirror world. And then one of the craziest things, because I realized this recently, when they go into the upside down, like near the very end of the last season, Nancy is looking through her diary and she's like, yo, like this isn't up to date. You feel me? So when that portal was opened that we call the North Polar opening, it was probably date stamped for that moment. And when we have this phenomenon like giants and all this stuff, it was like that was the end times. And then whatever on this other world, it's like a pimple. And it's just, this is the one side of it. And then there's the side of it that's inside of the skin. It has the surface and then it has the reverse. That's why time travel could be possible. Because it's not that you're actually time traveling, bro. It's that you're going through that portal, and that portal has a timestamp of where everything ended after that.
Oh, wow.
And that's where our cataclysms come into the conversation in like a much cooler way, right? Because you're thinking like, bro, of course we could have had, everyone's like dinosaurs aren't real. It's like, why not? Isn't that the anti-conspiracy? It's like people like, they can't be real because it has to be this. And it's like, well, what if we were just genetically modifying shit to a point where it became that? Right. And then it got time-stamped, cataclysm happened, and then now we have no more access to it. All the bones you're seeing in a fucking history museum are fake. They're composite, like casts. But the concept of it is in the mind of man, and the mind of man is quite evil. If we had the opportunity to make that shit, we would. Look at AI.
Oh yeah, we are always making shit we shouldn't.
People are making sex robots. You don't think that if we had the tech to make some crazy monster that we wouldn't do it? Of course we would. But then what happens? Shit gets off the rails, and we got to end the transmission. So just like coming back to what you said about the Cuba thing or the blackouts, when shit gets a little too chaotic, the New World Order goes, okay, and then they pull off a Don't Look Up, right? Where they show you them like leaving to another planet. It's not that they're going to another planet, it's that they're going to another continent that we're not allowed access to. And they're just doing whatever they want to do there.
Yeah. You're talking about the movie Don't Look Up, where that asteroid was coming. That was so funny, dude. And it was kind of like they were trolling us because there were so many things going on in the sky that people, at that point when that movie came out, nobody was paying attention to the sky. Dude, I've been showing people like something is wrong. The sun don't look the same as it used to. It's bright white now. I know we go through solar maximums and stuff like that, but it's just so bizarre. And now from September 29th until I think it was like November 18th or so, which is the 322nd day of the year. I might be November 15th. We're supposed to have these two moons in the sky, which I haven't seen it yet myself, but it's interesting that they picked September 29th for that day to start, because that was the day CERN was established in 1954, September 29th. So there's a giant CERN connection to all this and portals. And what you were talking about with the upside down, this mirror world, where there might even be like our evil twin there, I think.
Like the movie Us.
Yeah, something like that, bro.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard of what's called the eighth sphere, the lower astral plane?
No.
So that's kind of what that talks about. You got to check out this girl. Her name is Gigi Young. She's on YouTube. You would like her, bro. She's fascinating. She don't really get into numerology like us, but she gets into spiritual science and She has some really fascinating theories, though. You got to hear her breakdown on the lower astral plane, this eighth sphere, and she talks about these entities called walk-ins. And she says, like, in their reality, it's came to an end already. So when she believes that during like the whole Philadelphia experiment, when we ripped the hole in that space-time continuum, that's when they walked in and they were able to possess people. And the whole like reptilian shapeshifter thing, she thinks it's them type of entity. It's very fascinating.
Wow. Yeah. So I see what this is from. This is from Rudolf Steiner.
Yeah, she's very into Steiner's work.
Okay, so this, what I would call this eighth sphere, looking at the imagery, I would call that Pluto or Hades. That would be your underworld. That would be the Merovingian in the movie The Matrix.
Yeah.
That would be tied to that. Fucking fascinating. And what's so super cool about this, if anyone just Googles eighth sphere, you're going to see it's like the way birds fly in the sky in this like V pattern. And I would not be surprised if that's tied to the energetics of it all. Same thing with schools of fish, etc.
Yes.
Everything is just kind of mirroring the energetic movements, right? So this is super cool. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up to me because I'm working on some underworld stuff right now, and this will definitely be useful to bring up.
Yeah, I think you'll find it fascinating. I love looking into everything, Waters. I'm just interested in figuring out what's all going on. I try not to get myself caught up in the doom and gloom of it all because there's nothing we can really do. I mean, it's just, we got to live. I'm doing the best I've ever done in my life. And ever since I learned how to take control of my own reality and create my own reality, I mean, I've done the best I've ever done financially. I do what I love doing for a living. I've done this for over 4 years now, full time. And it's amazing that we're able to do this, create content, so we still have some freedom here in America. Hopefully it remains, but I guess we'll see. What do you think before we wrap this up today? What are your thoughts on the whole election situation? Do you think there will be an election? Do you even care?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get this question a lot because of being in markets, and a lot of people are under the belief that whomever wins president will change the direction of markets, and I don't personally believe that at all, but your question's probably a little broader, and I have a couple of scenarios, and I'll share them, and then you could tell me your feedback, and I'm not trying to predict anything right now. I'm just sharing my feedback, because at the end of the day, like, nothing's going to change. The people who are in the president's role are like 100 layers below the actual controllers. So
Right.
With that being said, they're just like the 4-year temporary employee of the head of the snake. And Trump winning immediately is my first scenario. And I think that right there means expect an event to come shortly after that's tied directly to him. It could kind of be like a JFK situation. Scenario number 2 is Kamala wins immediately, and then there's an immediate reaction from the left of like, look, we did it, like we beat you guys, and then the right gets violent and like Civil War level shit, because it's not possible for her to win immediately. So the New World Order knows that if they want to have her win this election, they need to have a little gap in between. You feel me? So couple of things that I've realized is the connection to the year 2000, which was also a year of the dragon. And we had the George Bush and Al Gore election where we had the recount in Florida. And I think that's very symbolic because Florida is tied to Trump, and he had an assassination attempt in Florida. He also is tied to Mar-a-Lago. Mar is Mars. And Elon just came out and said, voting for Trump is voting for Mars. And what's fucking crazy about the election date is the election date, obviously, it's a Tuesday, Martes, day of Mars, and it's also a 15-date numerology. And in just basic gematria, full reduction, Mars is 15.
That's CERN's number 2 in Chaldean.
Yeah, so with that 15 connection, Mars happening on the Mars day. Also, there's the 151 anagram, which is that would be the palindrome, but we have the 11-5 date for the election. I think me and you talked about this a little bit, like right before we started filming. But anyways,
115, that ties to Saturn too.
Yeah, and the thing about the Mars connection is very simple. It's Mars is god of war. So what is he saying there? He's saying, like, with Trump, expect the war, but in general, the whole thing sounds like war to me. Like it's either immediate, like, I wouldn't call it like civil war, but what I would say is that, like, imagine George Floyd all over again, where it was that, like, just rioting happening in each big metropolitan city, especially the ones that are more liberal. And then the fourth scenario would be none of that happens, and there's just some like weird, like the American spirit is sucked away, and the New World Order just gets, whatever system in place that they want. And I'm lesser on that one. I think that what's going to happen is Trump stands for patriotism. He stands for like the American spirit, even though it might not be the most enlightened spirit. Right. He still stands for that. And even people that are awake, who are really awake, kind of still in their gut want him to win, because they believe probably what I believe too, which is we'll have a less annoying country.
Right.
Like if we had Kamala winning, it would just be an annoying country. Like it would be annoying to drive around and see Kamala Harris bumper stickers. It would be annoying for people to be wearing Kamala Harris t-shirts. It's fucking annoying, right? Can we all just admit it? Like, it has nothing to do with my emotions or my desires. It's just, they're obnoxious. Everything about the liberal movement is obnoxious. All of that stuff.
We don't want this gentleman to win. This gentleman Kamala.
Yeah,
we definitely
Big Mike's twin. But yeah, like so with the immediate wins, if that's the way the thing goes, I am very skeptical that things are going to be good. Like, whoever wins immediately, I think they're going to push a delay. I think they're going to delay it. I think they're going to push the results, give people some time to like stew in this big jambalaya together. The New World Order is going to use all of their intelligence to gather data from the internet, see what we're talking about, see what people like me and you are talking about. They're going to use that time to just run it through their AI algorithms and be like, okay, how are we going to do this? And I think that's what George Floyd was. George Floyd was like, the New World Order used AI. They noticed, okay, we're getting a little rambunctious. We're getting a little like ready to riot. So let's film this guy getting killed and tell people they could go outside for once. And it's fine to go outside now to riot, even though a couple weeks ago we told you to stay inside no matter what it was. Right?
Yeah.
They probably used like some higher form of ChatGPT to just be like, what's the play here, guys? Like, we know they're going to start doing weird shit and we need them to calm down. So we need to do it this way, that way they could like be like the spoiled little brats they are. They can just shake it out. It's the same thing with the stimulus checks. It's no different. It's like, shut up. That's their way of telling you to shut up. Just like you would treat a kid. Just like you would treat a kid who's yelling and screaming because you took the video games away. That's how they're treating the American public. So I think whatever the results are, just the last thing I'll say, just whatever the results are, I think they're going to let a couple of days go by, maybe a couple weeks. They're going to gather the data. And then they're going to see, like, how can we play this chess game and then take it from there. And I still kind of in my deep down, if I had to predict, I think it's Trump's going to win. And war is still happening next year, no matter what.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I would rather see Trump win than Kamala, just because Trump makes me laugh more. I don't think he's coming to save the world or nothing, but he makes me laugh more than her. So it'd be more interesting, America with him. But what about this scenario, bro? Before we go, so what if they say, like, Joe Biden passes away of some old age or something, right? And then they postpone the situation until after 2024, like the new year, out of respect for Joe. Joe steps down. That puts Kamala as the 47th first female president, like we've seen in House of Cards, where the 46th president died. His wife became the 47th first female president of the United States. We've seen that same narrative in Veep too, the series Veep. And I'm wondering if and then maybe they stage some, why she is the president, something big happens. They're like, okay, look, we gave it to a female, we got nuked, and now we got to move on. I was thinking that could be a hustle move for him too. I don't know.
So you think getting her in and then hitting us with an event and then being like, there's incompetence here and we can't have it, and then they change the script again? What do you think they would change it to?
I don't know. That part is interesting. Maybe that's when Trump comes in after that. And
that would be ridiculous if they did. If they did that, I would be like, congrats to the Hollywood producers who wrote this script, because this is fucking Golden Globes level shit.
Yeah.
It'd be so good.
Yeah,
I'm at a point right now where, like, I think coming back to what you said a moment ago, like, I just have my shit in order. Like, I have my spiritual stuff figured out. I have my conscious like stuff figured out. Like, I'm just happy with life. I'm happy with the people I keep in my circle. So I don't let shit like politics get in my way. But I do realize that as a response, like from the responsibility of being a decoder, everyone wants to know how I feel. Everyone wants to know, like, and I've tried to get people to just protect their prana, with this whole thing, because it's another one of those events that I think it's going to be volatile. No doubt about it.
Oh, yeah.
But how to situate yourself to be in the less volatile side of it is probably ideal. Like anyone out there who doesn't want to have to deal with the fuckery, like maybe take a 2-week vacation if you can. If you're living in Chicago, like if you're living in a city that's already a ticking time bomb, like, no offense, maybe consider getting out for a moment, like just some wise words. Go somewhere peaceful, spend some time with Mother Nature. Like I think those 2 weeks after the election, even if we get the results immediately, is going to be fucking weird.
Yeah, this whole election cycle has felt super weird to me. Like, I don't know, it's just not like any other election cycle. They always ramp it up with the black versus white. They get that going, every election cycle, every 4 years, we have to deal with that shit. And they try to divide and conquer us. It's like a massive looshing,
Yeah.
Like they're just looshing the public for all their energy. And then there's got to be something tied to that too. That they must know how to manipulate that energy some way, because there's definitely something to it. But yeah, bro, it's been great to have you on today. I'm just thankful that you came on here, bro. It's always fun talking to you, and I had fun the first time we ever hung out. So it was really nice to have you come on, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, man. It was great to connect, and hopefully your community found value in what we discussed today. And more importantly, man, these next 3 or 4 weeks are going to be very, very volatile for the human spirit. So get calm, get relaxed, take care of yourselves, commit to yourselves more than you're committing to consuming media. I think that's super important right now.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, because there's ultimately nothing we can do with all this power outage in Cuba, Hurricane Milton, Hurricane Helene. Like, that's all a major looshing too. Sometimes it's just good to step back and take care of what you can take care of in your family and in your environment, and protect your energy, because they're always trying to steal it from us. So that's what I recommend, guys. Make sure you go check out my boy Waters Above. All of his links are down below, and we're just really thankful that we had the opportunity to talk to you guys. Hit that like button, share the video, and we're out of here, guys.